wonderful ideas and suggestions for guests and topics.
Great events, programs, and student activities all the countries, and listen to
Welcome to this week's segment of Dialogue Houston. I'm your host, Lawrence Payne. To our regular viewing audience, welcome. To those joining us perhaps for the first time for HCC's TV Dialogue Houston, we can be found now every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 a.m. and again at 6 p.m. Saturday afternoons at 3 p.m. As always, in top of the hour, we thank you for your thoughtful calls, emails, and text messages of previous shows we've aired here on HCC's TV Dialogue Houston. For after all, this is your community affairs, public affairs show on HCC TV, now proudly in its 32nd season. Boy, do we have a great show aligned for you today. You may have read it, you may have seen it in the press, you may have seen it on the news, you may not have. And that's why I wanted to make sure we got them on Dialogue Houston. Houston's Youth Poetry Team Metaphor, wins the International Championship at Brave New Voices Slam in San Francisco. Let me say that again in case you missed it. Houston's Youth Poetry Team Metaphor wins the International Championship at Brave New Voices Slam in San Francisco. Let's give them all a hand before we start. Yes, indeed. This is phenomenal. This is great for the team. It is great for the city. It is a wonderful way to exercise and to showcase the youth of our city in all of their breadth and depth. To understand how, when we talk about this great city of Houston and its diversity, how it all comes together in a moment in this whole idea of poetry, the self-expression of each human being in the essence of how they see and understand the realities around them. It is such a wonderful thing. Let me stop there and bring on Outspoken Beam, our wonderful coach for this group, and he will kind of introduce his co-coach, and then we'll have each one of the students introduce themselves around the horn, and then we'll have a little dialogue. But before, welcome Beam, I'm so glad that you were able to make it today, and
yes,
glad to have you here.
I'm happy to be here, Mr. Larry Cage. Thank you for having us. This has been an incredible journey for Metaphor Houston, for writers in the schools. Metaphor Houston has been a project under writers in the schools officially since 2012. And I've been coaching the team since 2009. And so, you know, Brave New Voices Youth Poetry Slam is not an easy sport, if you will. It's really difficult. And you know, these girls, these young women, these writers, these poets, these modern philosophers really did the amazing. Oh my gosh, almost a month ago at this point. I want to introduce. Where is she? There she is. I want to introduce my co-coach. It says Alinda Mack here, but affectionately we know her as Adam. Adam is the co-coach of Metaphor Houston this year and next year, by the way. And I'm super proud to have her on the team again, coaching with us. And she was on my Metaphor team in 2017, who was also really well. Want to take it away, Adam?
Welcome, Adam.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Larry. I am Alinda Adam Mack, co-coach for Metaphor Houston. As being said, I was an alum in 2017, and that was actually the last time I had been to Brave New Voices that wasn't hosted at home. The next year they had hosted in Houston. So it was kind of a big deal for me to go to take this team to San Francisco again. It was kind of like a full circle moment for me. The last time I was in San Francisco was to compete at Brave New Voices, and now I'm here helping these young people show their voices on stage.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's really a labor of love for both of you as a coaches, I can tell.
Yeah, sure.
Truly enjoy working with the young people. So let's talk about the young people who are here, the young ladies. Who wants to start and then introduce yourself and your school and your grade and what you're going to be doing next year, and then we'll ask you some questions. So come on, I know this is not a shy, bashful group, so I'm not going to call you out. Just jump in and everybody make the rounds. Who's first?
Hi, my name's Kylan Denney. I'm 18 years old and I'm going to be an incoming freshman at Stanford University in the fall.
Yay, Stanford. All right.
Hi, my name is Myaan. I will be going into 11th grade at the high school for the Performing and Visual Arts.
Yay. Next.
Hi, you want to go, Ariana?
Go ahead.
Sure. Hi, I'm Ariana Lee. I'm 18 and I will also be an incoming freshman at Stanford University.
Ah, y'all will be together. Okay.
Hi, my name is Isabella Diaz-Mira. I'm also 18 years old, and I will be an incoming freshman at Washington University in St. Louis.
All righty.
Hi, my name is Samiyah Green. I'm 15 and I will be a sophomore at the high school Performing and Visual Arts.
All right. So what inspired each one of you to want to join Metaphor, to be part of this process? What kind of led you to decide this is something I want to do, I have to do, I have the passion for it? What brought you to that moment? Anyone?
I can go first. So I saw Metaphor perform for the first time about a year ago. I wasn't on the team, but I knew Ariana since we both go to the same high school, or we went to the same high school. And I saw her perform and I saw the whole team perform, and I had never seen anything like it. Like my whole life, I've loved creative writing and poetry, obviously, but I'd never performed it in that way. And so when I saw these people that were literally my age doing something so powerful, it really inspired me and made me think to myself, maybe I could do something like that and also inspire people. So it was really just that first performance that I saw last year that really made me want to do something like that and see what I could do with it.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Who else?
I can go next.
Maya, go ahead.
Yes. So I've always loved poetry, and in my freshman year, Bean actually came to my school to do a 2-week workshop with us. And in that time, I kind of learned what the performance aspect of spoken word and slam poetry is. And I did my first spoken word performance after Bean's coaching. And I just completely fell in love with what it felt like to perform on stage. And I was just looking into what other opportunities I could have.
How does spoken, let me just follow up on your comment. How does a spoken word, how does it come alive in you around the philosophy of what you want to talk about, to be able to express the spoken word around a particular sentiment, context, issue, forum, and Bean mentioned the word philosophy. It is a philosophical thing. It is a deep thought process to get you to, from what you're thinking, to put it on paper, and then to be able to perform it in a way that you get the message across. So how did you see that process, Myaan?
I think that the fact that we also have to write our own pieces just makes it a lot more of like a passionate experience, because we're the ones who, go through coming up with the concepts and the ideas of what we care about, and having to create something from that and then being able to like show it to the world. I get very passionate when I'm on stage performing, and I really just put my whole body into it.
Wonderful. All right, let's go back to where we were. Why did you join, and what have you gotten out of it so far? Let's see, we got a couple more.
I'll go. So basically, like, I do writing at my high school for like 4 hours a day, and I've always been tied to writing, so I was just kind of used to writing. Slam poetry was a really new thing for me, and so I wanted to always be part of a team or a community in some sense, but like I wasn't good at sports, I wasn't really good at nothing else. So my friend from high school came and was like, oh, there's a slam poetry team, you should try out. And I tried out, and luckily I got in.
For our audience that may not be familiar with the phrase and the term slam poetry, what is slam poetry?
Are you asking me or just
anyone who wants to?
Oh, slam poetry is basically like loud spoken word with choreography.
Ah,
It also brings in a competitive aspect that regular spoken word might not necessarily have. Spoken word can be performed anywhere and in any venue and can be interpreted bodily and vocally in any way that you so wish. Slam poetry is a little bit more restrictive in their like rules, but it is inherently a competitive environment. It usually entails choreography in alignment with words that are read aloud, but not always. But the most important difference between slam and spoken word is the competitive bit.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get across to our audience. Thank you. Okay, we still have a couple more, I think. Let's see. Kylan?
Yeah, Kylan.
Hi,
So
sorry.
it's okay. I got into the Metaphor Houston team through my poetry club at high school. I actually wrote a poem for a talent show competition and I got second place. And my teacher was like, you should join the poetry club. And so I joined and I actually didn't know what I was getting into at all. My coach just told me we were going to go to a venue and I was going to perform a poem for a group of people. And that was the first time I ever did slam poetry in my life. And I didn't actually know, like, going into the process that I was auditioning for a youth slam poetry team. I just knew that that first time I got on stage, that I really enjoyed that feeling of being able to share like my message and my words with other people. So finding out that I got to go and compete and actually be on a team with other people who liked doing slam poetry was a super phenomenal feeling and shock to me. And it's been great for the last 2 years. And I really enjoyed the opportunities I get being on Metaphor Houston.
Wonderful. So kind of what's next? For those of you who are going to be here in Houston and those of you who are going to go off to college, are you going to stick with this? Is this something you now see as been inspired to be part of your life's development and going forward and be able to influence other people, not only to want to be part of it, but understand the importance of the spoken word in getting across a sentiment and a feeling and an emotion and a context to help us all perhaps think a little differently, a little better, a little deeper about certain issues. So how do you see it going forward in your lives?
For me, because I'm going to college, I really want to continue competing in slam poetry. There's actually a really big intercollegiate poetry slam called Cup C, which is kind of like the college level of Brave New Voices. And there's also other competitions like Women of the World and Southern Fried, which are adult slam competitions. They can be for individual or for teams. And I really want to continue in slam because when I first discovered slam poetry, I found it on YouTube during the pandemic. I completely fell in love with it and it changed what I thought I could do with my own writing. And it gave me a lot of community. The people in the slam world are very, very supporting and uplifting, and also very deeply passionate. And it's just super inspiring to be surrounded by so many talented writers and thinkers. So I definitely want to stay in it.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, whom else? Next.
I can go. So where I'm going, WashU, they have a slam poetry club / team on campus. It's like kind of the same process to be on Metaphor. You have to try out, you have to say a couple of things in front of the team, and then they decide if you can get on or not. So I'm planning on trying out in the fall and just trying to also compete, like Ariana mentioned, in Cup C and intercollegiate competitions like that, and just around college in general, so I can just keep doing slam poetry with the team, because I think having the team aspect definitely changes a lot versus like writing by yourself, because I'd never actually done something with like writing with everyone else until I joined Metaphor, and it's really, really fun. So I definitely want to keep that up in college. Yeah.
Wonderful. Who else?
For me, I just plan on sticking with Metaphor until I go to college. And then in college, I just, I'll try out for Cup C. Then when I get into an adult, I'll do so. Like I want to really commit to slam poetry throughout my whole life, because writing is something I'm really passionate about. And hopefully I could stick to Houston, because it's good doing poetry in your hometown versus doing it in other places where no one really knows you like that. Houston just has its own community. So I feel like that's where I want to go with slam poetry.
Thank you. Let's see, did that get everyone? I think so.
I think
Okay.
Myaan didn't answer.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I knew there was one more up at the
Yeah,
top.
one more also. Kylan wanted to speak.
Go ahead. Okay.
And Kylan.
Kylan and then Colin. Okay, go ahead.
Essentially what Samiyah said, hopefully staying with metaphor throughout high school, and then doing Cup C and Women of the World like Ariana was talking about in college. I just, spoken word and slam poetry brings me so much happiness, and I definitely want to continue doing it. And another really great thing about this art form is it's pretty much something you can do your entire life, and it really stimulates my creativity. So I don't plan to stop anytime soon.
Wonderful. Okay, now.
I think for me, I am really passionate about slam poetry, and I'd like to continue being involved in the community when I go to college. But above all else, I think what's important to me that I've gained from slam poetry is that even if there's not a space or setting for you to voice your opinion on something, you can create that space and setting for yourself. And the people I've met in slam poetry specifically have showed me. So I think the biggest takeaway that I'm going to take for myself in the future is to stay in contact with these artists who are passionate about uplifting other people and creating spaces for other people to have their voices heard too.
So it seems, as I listen to all of you, the development of the community of support of the team and everyone involved, these are all young people or people who are really passionate, who really want to voice their opinion, perspective, and viewpoint on the myriad of issues that are facing us in our society. And through this vehicle of poetry and slam poetry, we're able to do it in a way that hopefully will inspire other human beings to think differently or deeper about what they should be doing in response to some of the things you raise. Because I think that's kind of where it's headed going forward. Beam, I'd like to hear you talk a little bit more about the kind of the future of this in Houston. I know we have this group, we have other groups, but it seems this is something that could grow exponentially, and we could have all kinds of teams and communities of this all around the city, engaging with each other in conversation and dialogue to start kind of a fruitful process that, as I listen to this, the youth actually can lead adults perhaps into a deeper understanding of how all this stuff that they see, that they understand, that they articulate impacts them as the youth and as therefore the future leaders.
Well, that's very true, right? Like they are the future leaders. These are the people who are going to live in the world that we inherited, that we give them. Right. And their poetry, the poetry that they write is a lot of times that they're not really excited about their inheritance. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's important. That's reality. I think it's a reality, and I think about how people who, just to be frank, where we get our money from, to help celebrate these young people's words. A lot of things that they write about is about them, is about what the policies and the things and equities and stuff like that, and a much more fairer union, because they live here too, right. And they will occupy it. So I'm always on that side, even if I feel like things are like going past me and I don't really understand it. I try to be on the same side as the young people, because they're the ones experiencing their lives at that time, as I did back in 2004 or whatever it was, right? And I want them to be able to be extremely confident. Long Chu and Shannon Buggs, when they would explain what Metaphor Houston is, back when Metaphor Houston was leaving diverse works and going to writers in the schools, I loved how they said it, to be able to use words to stand up for themselves eloquently. Eloquently, like to stand in their truths eloquently, to face what's happening in this world eloquently, right? Where and that means a lot to me. So I wanted to express that, but I also want to express how as far as the community, Houston and Adam is perfect for this, and I would love for her to speak on it as well. But in 2019, Metaphor Houston team, like 100 kids competing to be on the team. We had a semifinals to make the team, right? There was preliminaries and then semifinals and then finals. Like there was so many kids to make the team, and that built a community where they were excited and where they were excited about the work that they were creating and stuff like that. And the pandemic really did a number on bringing that out. And this win is, as far as, and I'm just talking on the youth side. This win, I'm getting emails of people saying, "How do I try out? Right? How do I get on the team? How do I?" And it's like, all right, we gotta like, I see momentum as impressed, and hopefully more money to come for us to do this programming. But also, momentum is the most valuable resources are young people with their thoughts and their ideas. The poets and the ones who don't want to perform. They like the audience is just as important as because all of these young people, from Ariana to Isabella was talking about how she saw Ariana. She was an audience and then transitioned, right? So I want to grow this, and so doing interviews like this is super important and getting the word out, because someone's going to hear this and they may have a nephew or a niece or someone's grandparent may want to bring their, like, suggest this to them, and this is how we help get the word out. Okay. Adam, do you want to speak on it?
Yeah, I was going to say, let me give Adam a quick couple of minutes because we're about out of time. Adam, go right ahead.
When you do Youth Slam, or at least at Brave New Voices, one of the things that they always say is that the point is not the point is the poetry. And I would say, like, I can't really emphasize how true that is, and that, like, slam is, it's not at all about the competition. The competition is kind of a scam. You go to compete and they trick you into forming community. So for kids who have struggled to express themselves or articulate the feelings that they have, or the problems they're experiencing because they've never met anybody else who shares those issues or who understands the way that they feel, a lot of these kids are drawn to slam because it gives them an outlet, or a way to formulate the things that they're going through without simply saying, "This is how I feel." Or for kids who speak so directly, is not so easy for them. You know, spoken word is a way for them to get into that. And when you see a competition like Brave New Voices and you think, "Oh, I can share my story and I can win something like that," you go and then you meet so many kids who are like you, and suddenly it's not about the competition anymore. It's about meeting people who share your story, and who understand you in a way that fundamentally nobody else can, or at least not through, without going through a conduit like this type of artistry. And so when Bean talks about how seeing somebody else perform can really build the community for you in Houston, which is so spread out, and where the young people are so spread out, when they catch wind that somebody else is performing on stage and they go to see it, that sort of emotional connection that's formed when they perform on stage is just like a hand reaching out and saying, "Come up here with me, do this with me." And definitely, like, this is something we want to cultivate. We want to uplift other young people to come and do this stuff that Metaphor is doing. Because even though there's only 6 spots on the team is not the only way that you can get into spoken word in Houston. So.
All right, before we run out of time, give us contact information where we can find you and talk more about how to be part of this wonderful process.
Yeah, so the ways to get a hold of Metaphor Houston, which is, again, a project on writers in the schools, is you can go to our website, witshouston.org. There's a contact right in there, or you can go through social media on all social medias at WITS Houston, WITS Houston, at WITS Houston, and at on Instagram specifically, Meta, the number 4 Houston. META, the number 4 Houston.
Got you. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So let me give each one of you 10 seconds. Your closing comment, thought, observation that you hadn't had a chance to get out. Adam and Bean, go ahead.
Thank you for having us. I'm glad that we were able to be here.
Yeah, and thank you so much for letting us take a little bit of your time to spread the word about spoken word.
Oh no, my pleasure. And to the rest of the team, thank you thank you all so much for being part of this. You are just so inspirational until I don't even know how to talk about it. So let me end with this thought. The word equity has been used in this process. It is all about equity going forward. And the road to equity is through empathy. There is no equity without empathy. You have to have an empathetic heart to understand the reason why one does equity. So look at it this way. If you draw a triangle, put the human being in the middle of the triangle, put equity at the top, put empathy to the left. The other word on the right side of the triangle is relationships. You have to develop and nurture relationships, but very special kind of relationships. Relationships built on mutual trust and respect, because nothing happens without trust. To get to this thing that we all desire so deeply in this country, through all the inequities and equalities and things we keep talking about around equity, empathy is the road to equity. And compassion is the thing that helps people understand other person's plight and concerns and stations in life and the things that impact them disproportionately that may not impact you. And so this is where we're moving toward. And I'll end with this kind of wonderful quote from a poem by Leonard Cohen, who I love the last line of his poem. After a deeper searching of the heart, we all now rise to play a greater part. After a deeper searching of the heart, we all now rise to play a greater part. Thank you all again for being part of Dialogue Houston this week. We'll follow up on the wonderful work of Metaphor and the wonderful work as we go forward. But I can sincerely say that listening to you young people and your passion and your understanding of why you do what you do and why is it important to have impact upon other people's lives is really where we need to go and where we're headed. So until we come together again for Dialogue Houston, as always, be safe, be well, peace, power, and love.